Hey everybody, it is Marriage Monday and I'm outside because everyone's home and rowdy right now. So I thought I would come out here to film this video. I'm pretty excited about what I'm sharing with you guys today. I actually was speaking to a friend yesterday and she shared her notes with me from a speaker that she heard who was married for over 40 years. She spoke on marriage and she shared the notes with me, and they were so challenging and such good reminders that I thought I have got to share this with you guys. I had something different in mind for today's video, but I switched it to this because it was so good for me and I hope that it will be good for you. If you're new to my channel, my name is Alana and my channel is all about marriage, homemaking, healthy living, and homeschooling, and I would love for you to subscribe. So jumping right in, it's very bullet pointed, but still just good wisdom, rich wisdom from a woman that was married for a long time. This is an older woman. These are the women that we wish were just speaking into our lives every single day, right? The first thing she covered was marriage requiring sacrifice and that we need to live to give to our husbands. A lot of these things that she talks about remind me of The Excellent Wife. If you've never read the book, it's by Martha Peace, and it is my favorite marriage book. I go to it over and over again. It is just rich and saturated with wisdom. I did a book study on it. Check out the playlist if you're interested in going over that. It's a great book, and I would invest in it because it has been fantastic for my marriage. So a lot of the things reminded me of things that are in that book. Our life should be a life of sacrifice, a life of selflessness to give and serve joyfully our husbands. Next, she said their lives should be more favorable with us in it. We want our husbands to know that we bring delight and joy and happiness to their life and fulfillment to their life. Not life would be easier without this woman, right? Pray for our husbands daily, like no one else is praying for them. That is something that I think we hear constantly, but do we do it constantly? I need to be better at that. I really do. Listen when they speak. Be a listening ear. I know all men are different, but I think that stereotypes come from somewhere, right? So when you hear that most men don't talk about their feelings, I think generally speaking, that's fairly accurate, right? I don't know. Maybe your husband's super open and super transparent and always wants to talk. I find it that my girlfriends and I are like that. We'll get together and before you know it, we're in deep conversation, crying our eyes out with meaningful life conversations. And men are like talking about, we gotta fix the roof this weekend. And of course they'll have some deep conversation from time to time, but it really just doesn't spring up among them naturally. They have to really be intentional about it. It just seems to be the go-to for women. So when they do open up, it's like, oh my goodness, what's happening right now, you know? And I have found that it is very obvious when that is happening in my marriage. I'm like, okay, he's talking. Don't say a word, just listen, because something good's coming, you know? I'm gonna get to hear what's happening in your brain. So those are wonderful moments when that occurs, and we wanna be a listening ear when that occurs and listen to them. Keep their world in order. I know that some people would be really annoyed at this, but to me, I find joy and delight and great pride in knowing that my husband's world is in order because of my work. And I know how grateful he is and how much he appreciates me for it. If it is hard for you to find joy in keeping your husband's world in order by making sure the home is in order, that his laundry's done, folded, put away for him, ready for him to use when he needs it, making sure that there's food available so that when he's hungry he can eat, all these things that require a lot from us but are very much a strength and a calling from the Lord for us to do and to do well. It blesses our husbands, and we should do them with joy and with delight and ultimately unto the Lord, working heartily unto the Lord. So to me, I hear that and I'm just like, yes, I love it. But I know that some women could hear that and immediately go to that question, well, what about him? You know, which I made a video on that last week. You should definitely check it out. Same thing with live to give to your husbands. Well, what about him? Their lives should be more favorable with us in it. Well, what about him? It's always going to be the same answer, you guys. We need to take responsibility for our actions and obey the Lord at all costs, not depending on other people's behavior or flaws or shortcomings. We love Christ. Well, then let's honor Christ, right? We want to serve with joy. And I definitely have a video on that I watched the other day, and I was just like, wow, I needed to hear this. It's like me talking in the video, but I'm blowing it in all areas right now. Stay ahead of their needs. That is something else in the Excellent Wife book that I find so valuable. When I read that, I remember, okay, I'm not going to forget this. Anticipating their needs so that you know that they've got what they need before they even need to ask you for it. They're just set. And then health. I take great joy and great delight in making sure that I'm feeding my family good, healthy, nutritious food, but we can't control that all the way. You know, when they're out at work, if they grab a soda or they grab an energy drink and everything within you wants to scream, you know, we can't control that. We can't control whether they exercise or not, but we can be encouraging and we can be good examples and we can do whatever we can do, which I think cooking is the main thing that we do have control over, and just hoping that they eat it and like it and don't get something else junky later. Taking responsibility and pride in feeding our families well, I think is really important. Get to know how your husband operates. This one's really, really hard for me. If any of you have ever taken the Myers-Briggs personality test, I am an ESTJ, and it is so ridiculously by the book. It's mind-blowing to me. My husband is a P, the last letter P. I'm a J, so I'm judicial, and he's perceptive, which the titles don't really mean anything. But when you read the descriptions of those two things, that's your function. And the way that we function could not be more opposite. It is crazy. And I have fought my whole marriage for him to function the way I function and to do things in the sequence that I think he should do things. And of course, I have definitely learned through the years how to be more chill and honor his way of functioning better, but it is still hard, you guys. For example, if it's a Saturday and in my brain I want to fix the chicken coop and switch the fan in the den to a regular light fixture. To me, those two tasks can be so quickly done if we just get up, have breakfast, knock them out, and then we have the whole rest of the day free, right? Not my husband. My husband. And you know, I can laugh about it, which is such a blessing. It's not something that makes me mad or bitter. It just makes me like laugh. We just function very different. And it's hard. It's really hard. But, you know, the next bullet point is don't rush or pressure him, which totally is hard, but I've learned a lot in that area. And this one is super hard. We adapt to them, not the other way around, which I 100% agree with. But doing that is so hard. And I find that it is so much harder now with children. Before, it was easier, way easier. With children, it is a whole new world. I can adapt like nothing when it's just me and Hector. Oh my goodness, it's so easy. I'll just do whatever he wants, go with the flow, have no questions, have no agenda, but throw the kids in the mix and forget it, man. It is super challenging because I'm super intentional in how I parent, and so is he, but differently. It looks different because we're two different people. So that's really hard, but challenging and good reminder for me. And then the questions she asks just to challenge you. So the next thing she asks was a challenging question to ask yourself regarding the home. How am I doing in the basics? So like she said, regardless of what your circumstances are in your marriage at the moment, make sure that you're still covering your basics, which is having your home in order. Don't make your husbands live in a messy house. Don't have your husbands living out of the laundry basket. Be a keeper of your home. And I know that some people are going to get annoyed at that. Don't let your husband live out of the laundry basket. But you know what, you guys? I could not agree more. I just could not agree more. There is just a pride that we should have as women, as keepers of our home, that a pride, a healthy pride, a honorable pride, doing a job well done. And if you sit back and you examine your life and there is idleness in your life, well, then there is something in your home that you could be doing better in. If you're working from the minute you wake up till the minute you go to bed and there's things that could be a little more orderly in your home, then either have grace on yourself, you are working hard and things will get easier as the kids get older, or improvement and time management might be needed. Or if there is idleness in your life, then it's time to not be idle and work diligently unto the Lord and make sure that your basics are covered. Don't be wasteful with your resources as far as money goes, as far as food goes, as far as household products go. Be wise in how things are spent and used in your home so that they stretch, they last longer, so that you're more frugal in that way. Be loving and patient. Men love living with a pleasant wife. I talk about this in my videos all the time. Being a joy to come home to, not a dread to come home to. If someone asked my husband, so what's it like being married to your wife? I would want him to say nothing but wonderful things. Wouldn't you? I mean, seriously, wouldn't you? I think you would. So then ask yourself, is the way I live my life proof of that? You've got to practice those things, live those things out, prove it in your behavior. It doesn't just happen by itself. And that's not to say that there aren't hard moments, tension, conflict. That's just part of life, of course. How would others view the way that you treat your husband? I've seen women treat their husbands wrongly. I've seen women nag their husbands. I've seen women disrespect their husbands. I've seen women very visibly, obviously be annoyed at their husbands, judging their husbands, pretty much like belittling them. And it is heart-wrenching to me, heart-wrenching. You want others to view your marriage and see a model of the church submitting to and following, willingly, lovingly, graciously following and submitting to the head, which is your husband. And that is a way that the Lord has used marriage to minister to the world. The world, non-believers, see biblical marriage and they see a picture of Christ and the church. Manage your mood. Attitude is everything. Attitude is everything, you guys. You can be in the most difficult moment, stressful, frustrating moment, and if your attitude is negative and frustrated and fed up, that moment is going to be worse. But if your attitude is look on the bright side, laugh it off, life is crazy, then that moment is going to be better. Attitude is everything. Don't overlook his schedule. I know that I need to be better in this. I am a very task-oriented person. I am a very goal-oriented person, and I have my goals and I have my tasks, and they are laid out and planned for the week. And sometimes I know my husband is busy and overwhelmed, and honestly, I could help him with some of the things that he's doing. But instead of saying his stuff's more important than mine, stopping what I'm doing, waiting to do my stuff later, and helping him, I will mindfully not, and then think, man, this is a weak area in me, me being a good wife. I really need to value his schedule and his goals above my own, and I fail to do that well. Appreciate him, treasure him, and make sure he knows it. We've talked about this so many times, you guys. Our husbands need to know how grateful we are to them for working so hard, for being the provider for our home. Show them that you're satisfied with what he's providing for you. Don't complain about what you don't have. That makes them feel like they're not doing well enough. That doesn't make them feel appreciated. Encourage them, remind them of who they are in Christ and how well they're living out their role, and that you appreciate what they're doing for you and for your family. That's all that my friend shared with me, but I am so glad she did, because this was really helpful to me and challenging for me and just good reminders for me, and I hope that they are for you as well. Please share in the comments what stood out to you about this video, and anything else that you would like to share. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe.